Well, we're only hours away from finding out what's going to happen here. It's election day. I voted today, and I'm interested in how this is unfolding right now. Let's take a quick look. Hello, everyone. This is just a quick update. Of course, I'm going to be having a live cast at 7 o'clock Eastern starting on November 5th. You could check that out if you didn't see it live. Just going through the election coverage as things unfold. Now, we all know this is going to turn into a gigantic psychodrama, and I mean more psycho than it already is. And this becomes a real thriller. People are going to absolutely, potentially lose their nut on these things. So let's talk about what's going on here real quick. Let me pull up some of my things. All right. Why don't we start here in just a second. Let me pull this back. I think this is confession by projection. This is Oprah Winfrey, obviously. And here she is doing last-minute stumping. And I don't know how you get the seal of the President of the United States on your lectern, because that's just maybe it says vice before that, probably.
We don't get to sit this one out. If we don't show up tomorrow, it is entirely possible that we will not have the opportunity to ever cast a ballot again.
I agree. It's just amazing how fundamentally different we are. So this current administration is the administration that ran CISA, that ran all of the shadow banning and the banning and these public-private partnerships with the universities and censoring. And this is the administration that has been bringing in millions and millions of illegal migrants, not immigrants, migrants, to stuff the voting process. It is entirely possible that if Kamala's team wins with all of these shenanigans of having illegals vote, of stuffing the ballot boxes, of having these absolutely rigged voting systems. Listen, we all know this, right? Anybody who's an expert, self-described election expert who tells you, oh, we have a validated blah, blah, these voting machines are okay. Listen, they're not okay. They have glitches. They're totally insecure. Proprietary software and hardware. Whenever IT security experts even dig into them slightly, they discover that these things are eminently hackable and manipulable at the root level, meaning you can get in there, change all the results, get back out, never leave a trace. So it's like a perfect crime, right? If you could have a junkie in your house who could steal money out of your wallet without guaranteed never to be detected, trust me, you're not going to have any money in your wallet. It's just how people are. As humans, you should never have to trust a human you don't know on something this vital. You should be able to verify it. There's a big difference between a trustworthy voting system and a verifiable voting system. A verifiable voting system leads to trust. A trustworthy one, you can't trust at all. It needs to be verifiable. So anybody who tells you, steps up and says, oh, this is the most secure election we've ever had, BS. Now, both parties are nowhere on this issue. They should be making this issue number one, because when 51% of the people get to vote, what the other 49% have to do with their money, their lives, their decisions, rules, policies, are you going to go to war? When 51% get the right, because that's what we call a democracy, I don't think that's how it ought to be. Honestly, personally, I think that if 10% of the people want something, they should have 10% sway in the conversation. I think democracy ought to include all voices. And I'm totally open to the idea that I don't have everything right. I know I don't. But that's the difference between me and some people, I would say, currently on what we're going to call the left, who are absolutely certain of their moral position about all things. But honestly, it's really embarrassing when you scratch at those positions a tiny bit and you find out they don't actually know what they're talking about. Here, let me give you an example of this, right? Let's see. How about this gentleman? Let's listen in real quick.
Who did you vote for today?
I voted for Kamala Harris.
Why is that?
I have 3 daughters, 4 children overall, and women's rights is pretty important to them and my daughters. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional about that. I didn't think that I was going to do that, but just their bodies, their choice type of a mentality.
Anybody want to take a bet where this guy falls on the issue of mandatory vaccinations? Going to make a bet. I'd put a lot of money. He's all for those. It's not your body, your choice when it comes to things he doesn't agree with. but he wants your body, your choice when it comes to women. But here's the thing. The president does not decide reproductive issues. Those are at the state level. So if you're worried that Trump is going to take away women's right to choose, he can't do that. And if you're thinking Kamala is going to protect women's right to choose, she can't do anything about it. It's not a federal, it's a state issue. It probably, as it should be, people should be allowed to figure out how they want to portion and accord their lives. Totally open to that. And then I get to decide if I want to live in that state under those rules or not. I mean, it seems fair enough to me, but at any rate, listening to this guy, he's bought into something which is absolutely misinformation, disinformation, which has been put out there by these people. So get this up. Mrs. Butters says, I'm picking my daughter up and accompanying her to vote. Our polls are an extremely MAGA area, heavy MAGA area, and she was scared. I had no idea that she was scared. I am heartbroken. I'm pissed. We are done being intimidated. Now, if you've ever gone, Mrs. Butters, if you're even a real person and not just an AI bot sent to, put out a fear vibe, which is entirely possible, but assuming you're a real person, which is a big assumption, if you ever went to one of these MAGA rallies, you would find what everybody finds when you get there. They're pretty chill. They're welcoming. They ask you some questions maybe, and you have a conversation. That's it. But I get it. If all you've done is just consume CNN or MSNBC, I could understand how Mrs. Butters has this point of view here. But if you are heartbroken and pissed at the idea that your daughter is scared, that's because you as a parent failed to appropriately expose her or educate her to this whole thing. This idea of setting it up that there are these bad MAGA people who are going to somehow destroy your daughter scared of them, that's shame on you, Mrs. Butters. You screwed up as a parent, right? That's how that goes. And so this is just astonishing to see this. Here's another example here from Mama Clutch at Clutch Blonde, writing, as a Canadian watching the U.S. election from afar, I am genuinely scared for woman, sick, and what this election might mean for our autonomy. Okay. So again, there's this idea that somehow Trump is going to do something very bad against her for women. Now, leaving aside the fact you got Tulsi Gabbard in there, nothing ever happened bad against women in Trump's first 4 years. He's already been president. Need I hasten to remind people? So what's happened is we've had this fifth generation warfare programming that's been pushing on the fear and anxiety buttons, and it's been spreading misinformation by the bucketful. And the media is complicit on this. Every time I got fact-checked, it just infuriates me because I know that the Twinkle D that's in there fact-checking usually has a journalism degree from Columbia, which means they know squat all about anything, right? Second of all, they have these extreme biases that they're just there to reinforce, and basically they're masturbatory. Obviously, they just circle up and reinforce each other's points of views about things without actually digging into the context. But these people actually lack any known context. So I have an explanation for that. Again, I'm going to be doing a live coverage tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern. I don't know how long it'll run. We'll watch the results come in. One way or the other, this thing's going to be really spicy, I think, in the aftermath. So come on by and check that out. And that's going to stream out live on YouTube, on Rumble, on Twitter, anywhere you want to find it, have at it. It's going to be there. So let's talk about that when it gets here, and that's just in about 2.5 hours. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Now, I am going to cut back with my good friends at Peak Prosperity, the subscribers there, because I'm going to talk about, I think I have a good view on what the psychology of all this is. If you don't understand how people are wired, then understanding all of this is really mysterious. How can people be this deluded? What is happening? How is any of this transpiring? So I'm going to take you through some of my favorite works, books, to help understand all of these things. So for those of you who are Peak Prosperity subscribers, come on back and we'll carry on with this scouting report.